A Just Quincy presents.
Are they quite serious?
As the lawsuit over the religious statues winds its way through the preliminary injunction process, I'm doing what any other kid who grew up watching LA Law would do. I'm trying to figure out what's next and how the city is going to defend itself against what appears to be a pretty blatant case of violating the Massachusetts Constitution. So from what I hear, it sounds like the city's just using the kitchen sink defense, which is a lot of procedure, a lot of conflicting arguments, and they're looking for something to stick. So they'll start with, we don't think the plaintiffs have standing. But even if they do, we don't think the statues are religious anyway. And even if they are religious, it's kind of anti-Catholic to object to them. And even if it's not anti-Catholic, we're just trying to honor first responders. And even if there are other ways to do that, the saints are like the best way to do that. And even if they're not the best way, we have every right to do it. And why do you hate firefighters and cops? So there's one little tiny gem that I think sticks out to me in the pile of arguments I think the city's going to use, and it's the instead of suing, the plaintiffs should have availed themselves of the political process. But there's a problem here because the city council didn't know about this either. So how are you supposed to avail yourself when your representatives don't even know what you're up to? And then when we started to ask questions, the response that Chris Walker, the mayor's number 2, said was, this was ultimately and only the mayor's decision. So are we supposed to bring our concerns to our elected representatives, or do they learn about it at the same time we do? So I'm just going to play some of Chris Walker's time speaking on February 24th meeting of City Council. This particular clip, he's talking with Councilor Liang because I thought that was the most interesting exchange. So take a look again.
Came into place? Is that where we're going with this?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we get the final bottom line number. Everyone is in place at that point in time. The budget is still not line by line explicit as to exactly which screw goes into which hole, which desk goes into which. There's still a process that takes place, even though you've come to a bottom line conclusion.
So what we have here is Mr. Walker, the mayor's top aide, comparing the two massive religious statues costing nearly $1 million to, office furniture and screws. The argument to be that the plaintiffs in this lawsuit should have availed themselves more of the political process. I show you this clip because there was no political process here.
Looking at the facade of the building, and he says, you think we could do something out front? Do we have any flexibility within the budget to do some artwork out front to enhance the facade of the building? Working with the team, Joe, Steve Crucial from the Crucial Group, the architects, yeah, there was some money within the budget, not because we lopped anything off, not because something didn't get included, but within contingencies, not even contingencies, but within the borrowing costs, within certain contract costs. There's a sliding, it goes up, it goes down, all with that goal of hitting that number right on.
The other thing that offends me about this is the idea of we want to get right on the dot. I don't want it right on the dot. If you can provide a good headquarters made out of good materials and good workmanship and provide all the amenities and facilities that you're supposed to provide and come in $1 million or $2 million under budget, that's what I want. And I'd like you to take that $1 million or $2 million and do something the city wants with it. Maybe it is public art, but if we would have had that art commission that we discussed, then there could have been some people who know about art in on the decision, some public feedback of what they'd like to see there, and not just one person's aesthetic.
In this process is for that reason. There is a sense of not exposing this body to something that had nothing to do with it. So in our minds, we're trying our best, and he's tried his best not to expose this body to have to answer questions that you had no role in whatsoever. You were finding out about this with the public.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because I didn't want to say it, but no, you said, yeah, no, we found out when everyone else.
Why wouldn't you want to call that out? I don't get that. If I were on city council and this happened, I would have been talking to anybody who would listen, that this is not how government's supposed to work. You don't try to provide the other branch of government plausible deniability, which is what they claimed that they were doing. Oh, we don't want to expose this body to answering questions or being held accountable for a decision they had nothing to do with. That's not what our city council is for. They're there to represent us. They should be involved in decisions like this. They should be involved in deciding how almost $1 million of taxpayer money gets spent. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with coming in under budget. I think it would have been a much better outcome to come in, $1 million under budget and then do something else with that money. Maybe give it back to the taxpayers. But I just want to say that the idea that people didn't avail themselves of the political process is laughable in this city. In this city, that is laughable. There is no political process.
This was ultimately and only the mayor's decision. And that if anyone asks anyone in this body, the response, an okay response is, I had nothing to do with that. Call the mayor. And we're fine with that. He believes in this. He thinks it's the right thing to do. Part of the reason that it happens.
See, I think the quiet part is being said out loud here. This is all the mayor. The city council had nothing to do with it. He believes in this. I mean, it's not a far leap talking about what the mayor believes in terms of this project and what he believes in terms of his personal faith, his religious devotion. That's how I hear it anyway.
Like if folks leave here today and they're not happy, right? Like what is that next step? Like what can they do to reach out? Not just sending an email, right? And just, we all send emails and it gets lost in the ether, sure, but like some tangible next steps, what can folks do?
Wait for the beautiful public artwork to appear on these buildings and enjoy it with the rest of the public. No, honestly, I'm not trying to be flipped. I think I've made it clear that the decision on this has been made. Mm-hmm. That the mayor in his authority makes decisions. He's made this decision. He understands that some people don't agree with it. That's the price of doing business.
So there you have it. Here's my point. What should folks do? Solicitor Timmons says they should avail themselves of the political process. Mr. Walker says there is no political process. Enjoy the artwork. So they went with door number 3. They're taking you to court. That's why that's happening.
Codswallop.